Tonight, in sushi restaurants around the world, chefs press a sliver of raw fish onto a small mound of vinegared rice and hand it straight to a waiting guest. It feels fresh, immediate, almost impossibly simple. But the word sushi has nothing to do with rawness and nothing to do with fish. It literally means sour, and it describes a food that began as the opposite of fresh. Fish buried in rice and left to rot for months, sometimes years, until the rice itself was thrown away and only the pickled flesh remained. Long before sushi meant a quick bite at a counter, it meant patience, decay, and survival. This is the story of how an ancient method for keeping fish edible slowly transformed into one of the most celebrated cuisines on Earth. The earliest form of this dish is known today as nore-sushi, and it likely began far from Japan, somewhere along the Mekong and Irrawaddy river basins of what is now Laos, Thailand, and Myanmar. Communities there discovered that packing freshwater fish with salt and rice triggered a natural fermentation that kept the fish safe to eat for months at a time. The technique traveled north through China, and by the Nara period in the 8th century, it had reached Japan, where fermented fish was valuable enough to be recorded as tribute to the imperial court. For centuries, the process stayed the same. Fish was packed away for as long as a year, and when it finally emerged, only the preserved flesh was eaten, while the fermented rice, having done its job, was simply scraped off and discarded. Even today, that original method survives almost unchanged in Shiga Prefecture, where funazushi is still made from crucian carp fermented for months inside rice. Everything began to change in the Muromachi period, in the 15th century, as rice became more abundant across Japan. Cooks realized there was no longer any reason to throw the fermenting rice away, so people began eating the rice along with the fish, and fermentation times shrank from a year down to just a few weeks. This shorter version was called namanare, or half-fermented sushi, and it set the stage for an even faster transformation. By the Edo period, someone discovered that mixing rice with vinegar could mimic the tang of fermentation instantly, with no waiting at all. This vinegared rice, called sushi meshi, opened the door to an entirely new kind of sushi. In 1824, a street vendor named Hanaya Yohei is credited with pressing fresh seafood directly onto small mounds of this vinegared rice by hand, creating nigiri sushi, the style eaten around the world today. It was fast food for the chonin, the merchants and craftsmen of Edo, sold from open stalls to workers who wanted a filling bite without sitting down for a full meal. Each piece was nearly twice the size of a modern nigiri, and often cut in half before serving. What made Edo-style sushi remarkable was never really the fish itself, pulled fresh from Tokyo Bay, but the craftsmanship applied to it, known simply as shigoto, meaning the work. Fish was cured in salt, marinated in soy sauce, simmered slowly, or pressed tightly with vinegar, all to intensify flavor and extend how long each piece could safely be served. The Great Kanto earthquake of 1923 leveled much of Tokyo, forcing thousands of Edo sushi chefs to relocate and open shops across the country, spreading nigiri sushi far beyond the city that invented it. But sushi's greatest challenge would come nearly a century later, as decades of overfishing pushed Pacific bluefin tuna, one of the most prized fish on any sushi counter, down by more than 90% from historical levels. Sushi found new momentum through invention rather than tradition. After the Second World War, advances in refrigeration meant fresh fish could travel from anywhere in the world to a sushi counter in Tokyo, ending its old dependence on local catch. In 1958, restaurant owner Yoshiaki Shiraishi toured a beer factory and watched bottles glide past on a conveyor belt. He adapted the idea for sushi, opening Mawaru Genroku Sushi, the first kaiten sushi restaurant, where affordable plates circled the counter for anyone to grab. From the late 1960s onward, sushi began spreading overseas, and by the 1980s, it had become a genuine global craze.
Chefs abroad experimented freely, inventing dishes like the California roll, hiding raw fish and seaweed inside a layer of rice to appeal to unfamiliar palates. And some of these foreign inventions were later re-imported back into Japan as new classics. Even Tokyo's legendary Tsukiji fish market carried the tradition forward, moving to a new home in Toyosu in 2018, and continuing to run the largest tuna auctions in the world.
Today, sushi exists on every point of the spectrum, from a 100-yen plate gliding past on a conveyor belt to a hushed 20-seat counter overseen by a master with decades of training. Both trace back to the same 8th century trick for keeping fish from spoiling, transformed by centuries of patience, craftsmanship, and quiet reinvention. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe for more tales of Japan's culinary history.